At the Nixon Library in Southern California, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo presents the Trump administration's hardline stance on China.
The old paradigm of blind engagement with China simply won't get it done. We must not continue it, and we must not return to it. As President Trump has made very clear, we need a strategy that protects the American economy and indeed our way of life. The free world must triumph over this new tyranny.
Pompeo says the old way of engaging with China resulted in self-censorship among U.S. businesses and in Hollywood, while China continues with repression on the Chinese mainland and Hong Kong. He says China is seeking global dominance and has become increasingly authoritarian at home and hostile to freedom abroad. Pompeo's speech comes the same week the U.S. ordered the Chinese consulate in Houston to close within 72 hours, calling it a hub of spying and intellectual property theft.
This is entirely malicious slander. This demolishes the bridge of friendship between Chinese and America.
The only way to truly change communist China is to act not on the basis of what Chinese leaders say, but how they behave. And you can see American policy responding to this conclusion. President Reagan said that he dealt with the Soviet Union on the basis of trust but verify. When it comes to the CCP, I say we must distrust and verify.
It is not surprising that the U.S. is taking a tougher approach on China, says the Rand Corporation's China expert Timothy Heath.
That there is a long-term trend that's been going on since President Bush, George Bush Jr., of a gradual hardening of America's position regarding China. And I think ultimately that derives from the reality that the gap in national power is narrowing, that there is a real competition going on.
Pompeo is asking other nations to also hold China accountable, but it may not be that simple.
A lot of countries are dependent, or at least rely a lot on trade with China. And so it's not going to be easy for many countries in the world to, so-called pick a side and join the U.S. in some of its harder line policies.
Heath says there is bipartisan support for a harder line on China, especially on specific issues such as intellectual property theft and China's approach to Hong Kong, which may be an indicator as to what will happen after the November presidential elections.
President candidate Joe Biden has voiced a very tough line on China, echoing, again, quite a bit of bipartisan concern about China. So I anticipate, regardless of who wins the election, there will be a lot of what you see from the Trump administration will continue.
The question remains to be seen whether this approach will be more successful than what was tried with other administrations. Elizabeth Lee, VOA News, Los Angeles.